sick and tired of fearing that I'll never have what it takes. Just need a few words of encouragement and I'll be okay. Is love or jealousy preventing you from seeing my way? With or without your approval, I'll do it anyway. I'm getting stronger and stronger with each passing day, flying higher and higher like a bird flown over.
In 2013, I completed 35 years of teaching literature, ESL, and basic writing. The last 23 years at Porterville College in California. In 2017, I returned to the classroom to explore the learning, teaching possibilities of a writing game I created prior to retirement. Raise Write, accessible at writings.com. Okay, now let's welcome to Jacinto Gardea from the Embassy of USA. Let's welcome him. Let's give him a warm welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. How are you? Now you ask me. How are you? I'm nervous. And I'm worried that I won't do a good job today. Yeah. Yesterday I came to your school. I observed 6 classrooms. I wanted to know who I was going to talk to. And I saw who I was going to talk to. And I saw the students that you had. And I want to tell you what I saw. I saw a teaching situation that is almost perfect. Why? Because you have students who are homogeneous. They are in the same level. That's not always the case. You have respectful students. You have students who are inquisitive, who ask questions. I saw it. They ask me questions. You have students who are motivated. And you are students who are comfortable in their school, in their setting. I felt like I was in a neighborhood school. I felt very good in your school. I want to thank you for that. You have a 3-year program structured around short duration cycles. Do I have that right? Very good. And you have an English program committed to a specific series of texts. Do I have that right? Yes. Very good. So I'm worried because where I come from, we don't have, I didn't have homogeneous students. Why difference in students? I come from a community college system where it is open to everyone. People who are well prepared, went to school every year, and people who have left school for a while, coming to the college to try to pick up some skills. So I didn't have homogeneous students. Also, we didn't work on a short cycle system. We worked on a semester system. So, and we were not committed, the instructors did not have to use a specific text. So what can a teacher who did not work under the kind of system that you have, what can I offer you? This is why I'm worried. So, I need your help. I need your help. And I want to tell you that by telling you that I was at a store with my wife. My wife is here, by the way. I was at a store. I only last 20, 30 minutes. She shops for 3 hours. I said, let's go, Rosie, let's go. I'm tired. I was at a store, but I was waiting for my wife, and I saw this. And I thought, my goodness, that it's on the screen. I thought, this encapsulates what I believe in teaching. It looks like something that would be in a kindergarten classroom. But I need that here. I think that this should work in any classroom. So I brought a couple, and I brought some in this kind of copy. And because I need your help, I want to reward you. I want to reward you. So, and my goodness, another thing that I'm impressed about is your responsiveness to Patricia. Whoa, I am impressed, believe me. Very good. So, I need your help by answering loudly when I ask you a question, which I know you will because I've seen you do it. I need your help by asking questions because I want to see if I can provide something that you need now for your teaching in the next cycle. I know you just finished. And because you just finished, I'm going to give you a test. I want to give you a situation. Imagine that you had one more opportunity. You would not be able to learn anything else about English except one more thing. You would have the opportunity to learn one more thing about English. What would it be? What would it be? Now, that one you don't have to answer right now. I gave you a piece of paper with some notes to help out. So if you think of something, hey, I really want to learn this. I want to see if this guy can answer my question. I would really appreciate it. Okay? Very good. So I want to give you a test. One of the reasons why I am humbled and excited about being in Peru, especially in the northern part of Peru, is because one of my heroes was born in the northern part of Peru, Ciro Alegría, a great writer and a great storyteller. I want to follow Ciro's example by telling you a story. Now, it's a sad story. Will that matter? No response? Yes, no. Will that matter if it's a sad story? No. Very good. But maybe I will not be as good as Ciro, and maybe it'll come out a happy story. But here's a test. Here's a test. Do you have something to write with? Yes. Very good, very good. As I tell you the story, every time you think that I have said a sentence, that I have said a complete sentence, I would like you to put a little mark on the paper. You can put a star, you can put a check, whatever you want. But I want you to put something to keep track of what you think are the number of sentences that I will be saying. Is that okay? Yeah. Very good. Very good. What happened? I went ahead. This is a sad story because it involves a helicopter accident near the city of Huamachuco. As you know, the city has a big fiesta every year. And people come near the city of Huamachuco, outside the city. There's a man named Simon Robles who owns a helicopter that he uses to rescue people from the mountains when they get injured. To make a little extra money, Simon Robles, during fiesta time, takes his helicopter to an empty lot near the fiesta. And he offers people rides on his helicopter. He charges 50 soles for each ride, and he can fit 4 people in the helicopter. That makes him a little extra money. So each year he comes, and every single year for quite a while now, for a good number of years, a little to the distance, he has seen an old couple. Pancho and Antuca Sinagua. Paniagua, excuse me. Pancho and Antuca Paniagua. And they are there because for many years it has been Pancho's dream to ride on the helicopter. But Antuca is very careful with their money. And she always tells them, 50 soles, es un 50 soles, Pancho. Es mucho dinero. This year again, Simon Robles saw the old couple. And he again heard Antuca tell Pancho, 50 soles es 50 soles, Pancho. Es mucho dinero. Simon Robles felt so sorry for old Pancho, seeing him there year after year, that he walked over and he made a proposal to them to give them a ride free on his helicopter on one condition: that they would not scream once they were on the helicopter and in the air. And he told them, pero si gritan, me tendrán que pagar $50, 50 soles. Ora pues, es gratis, exclaimed Pancho. So Simon Robles helped them get on the helicopter, and he got into the controls, and soon the helicopter was rising in the air. And pretty soon the people down below were small because they were high. And so Simon Robles made some turns, and the old couple did not scream, did not yell. And so Simon thought, well, if I go a little faster, if I make quicker turns, maybe Antuca will yell. And so he did. Around the fiesta, sharp turns, like that. But the old couple did not yell. And so Simon said, oh well, they didn't yell. So he started to slow down the helicopter in order to land it. And as he did that, he told them, me sorprendió que no gritaran. And then he heard Antuca say, pues yo iba a gritar cuando voló Pancho para afuera. Pero yo pensé, 50 soles, son 50 soles, es mucho dinero. I would hope that Ciro Alegría heard that he might have said, yeah, okay. Okay. So, time for your results. Give me some numbers. Give me some numbers. In that story, how many sentences do you think I uttered, I said? How many? Give me some numbers. But not at the same time. give me a hand so I can hear. My hearing is not that good. My wife will tell you that. 30, 32 maybe. 40. More numbers. 28. 28. And this man seems confident. 28. Any other numbers? Huh? Around 3. 30. Around 30. Around 30. Very good. Very good. So you are about, pardon me? 50. This man. Okay. Could we show, please, the helicopter accident? I hope somebody is home. Have you thought of any questions? Have you thought of any question for me while we are waiting? ¿Dónde está el señor de la tecnología? Con la tecnología le llamamos. Did you think of any question for me? Pardon me. You know, this is the thing about writing. The writer controls. So I could say, actually, Pancho landed on a thick mattress, and he's okay. And he got his helicopter right. The writer controls. The writer controls. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Ya vino? No question, huh? I feel good because your students are confident and you seem confident. So, very good. This is my supervisor. She is resourceful. Marcela Rapo. Marcela, could we scroll? Could we scroll to the bottom? You don't have to do it fast, but you can see those other sentences, no? Correct? Can we go to the bottom? Now, I told you the story because of Ciro Alegría, but I have two other reasons. I can only remember one right now. Maybe I'll remember the second one. I do, but this is later. I had you do two things at the same time. I had you listen to the content, and I had you think about the sentences. Think about the sentences. When I teach, when you teach, this is what we are asking students to do. We are asking them to look at the sentences and at the same time, look how the sentences are put together. Where does one sentence end? Why does that sentence end there? This is why I had to do that. Very good. So, can we, Marcela, can I come back to the presentation? No questions yet? Thank you, thank you. And then we put it, yes. Very good. So we're done with that. I have three objectives. You, on the paper that I gave you, you saw my notes. It's a serious topic, and it may not be a popular topic. I am going to present a thesis that may not sit well with some of you. But I have taught for nearly 40 years. And I did not come to Peru not to tell you, not to share my experience with you. I'm going to share it. And so my first objective is to give you a sense of history, our heritage as teachers. I am not a very religious person, but the classroom for me is sacrosanct. When I meet with teachers and students, when I usually meet with students, I don't meet with teachers, and I'm glad to do it. When I meet with students every time, valuable time, every minute must be spent well. I must come to class prepared. So that when students see preparation, say, whoa, this man is not just here to, or this woman. So it's very important for me, and I know it's important for you because I have seen it. So our heritage goes back to ancient Greece, to the Roman times, when teachers began teaching youngsters about language and about numbers. And I want to tell you about that. And I want to tell you about two factors that occurred one in the 1960s, one in the 1980s, that nearly destroyed grammar instruction. I want to tell you about that. And I want to argue that students must not be denied grammar instruction. I hope I can convince you of that. I will tell you very briefly, one of the most disheartening things that I saw was a video clip of an organizer of a conference such as this. The person was giving a news conference, and I will not quote the person word for word, I don't think I can remember, but he said this: our workshops are not based on grammar. Our workshops are based on new methods, because grammar is boring. I could not believe my ears. It's like we have a crisis today in the field of teaching English. And that crisis has to do with grammar instruction. I came here to speak to you about that. I want to argue too that grammar instruction must not be delivered the way Patricia mentioned, like in the 19th century. We need new methods, innovative methods of presenting grammar. We need methods where grammar instruction is inseparable from writing. I hope to demonstrate that to you. With active student participation. I hope to demonstrate that to you also. In ancient Greece, in ancient Rome, there were 7 liberal arts. How many have heard of the 7 liberal arts? My manos. Well, good. I am going to tell you about it. There were 7 liberal arts. There are many articles that you can read about it. There are books about it. Here is a YouTube video by Dr. Christopher Perrin, a specialist in classical education. And you notice that he has the 7 liberal arts in 2 groups. They were not presented. Students were not taught the 7 liberal arts all at the same time. No. The first 3 were taught first. And grammar was at the top. If you look at articles of the 7 liberal arts, you will see different diagrams of the statue of grammar, and then rhetoric, and then logic, which is philosophy. These were the arts of letters, of words, of language. You had to be proficient. You had to prove your proficiency in the first 3 liberal arts, grammar, logic, and rhetoric, in order to be able to study the other 4, the number arts: arithmetic, geometry, astronomy, and music. You might ask, what is music doing in the number sciences? Well, it involves the notes. They say that music is numbers in motion because of the sound waves. But that's not my topic today. My topic today is the first one. And what Dr. Perrin says, that the first 3 were the trivium for the mastery of language. And these were the verbal arts. These were the original language arts. There's a lot of talk nowadays about, oh, don't teach grammar, teach the liberal art, the language arts. And I have a little trouble understanding that. Because our heritage is of grammar, logic, and rhetoric. And so grammar was the art of mastering the components of a language. The components of a language in order to be able to speak and write with clarity. and to be able to understand any book, any article, any text with accuracy. This was what grammar was for. And this was not to learn a second language. This was to learn the native language. And by the way, they were called liberal arts, not because of liberal and conservative, no. They were called liberal arts because these arts liberated a person from ignorance, to understand how language worked and to use it effectively. So that the person was then liberated to go help humanity, to go teach others. Very good. And so logic was the verbal art of correct reasoning and incorrect reasoning, fallacies. So this was philosophy. And rhetoric was the verbal art of persuasive speaking and writing. And Dr. Perrin quotes Aristotle of having said that for a person to be an effective rhetorician, it was important to observe all available means of persuasion. But Cicero, which I admire tremendously, do you know how Cicero built up his speaking strength? Anyone? I will tell you. Cicero had a weak voice. And so he went to a teacher, a famous teacher for rhetoric. And he had Cicero go to the ocean, go to the beach with the sound of the wave. He said, now, give your speech. And there was Cicero yelling his speech, saying it in a high voice to develop his speaking voice. And I need water. So, Cicero was more specific. He said there are three things in rhetoric that are crucial. To instruct, you must present good information. You must delight your audience. You must move your audience. So the third reason why I told you the story was to entertain you, to make you comfortable, so that you would be able to be more, shall we say, willing to consider what I was going to tell you. It's part of rhetoric, okay? All right, so these were the three liberal arts, and for 2,500 years, this was so. Grammar instruction was revered. And for the reasons that I told you. But then came the 1960s. And probably for the reasons that Patricia said, grammar was taught in isolated exercises that had no relation, no connection, no direct connection to writing. But I have a little problem accepting that, because I have read that in the old times, students were asked to memorize large sections of the Bible, large sections of Shakespeare. And that was language, so I don't know. But in any case, in the 1960s, wow, I jumped ahead. The old-timers, during the time, by 1783, people, professors, they realized the connection between speaking, reading, and writing, and thinking. And so we have Hugh Blair, author and university professor, writing in one of his books, they who are learning to compose and arrange their sentences with accuracy and order are learning at the same time to think with accuracy and order. There's a lot of talk now about critical thinking and those kinds of things. This was embedded in the instruction of grammar, logic, and rhetoric. Very good. And so, and by the way, I forgot to do something. I need you to help me too. Read, because I get tired. I'm 67 years old, by the way. So, I want some brave people that can volunteer to teach. I want to read nice and loud. So volunteers, raise your hand and I'll give you a number. I'll give you a number. Oh, yeah, 10 will do, 10 will do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, 7, 7, 8. Very good. Good enough. Good enough. Okay? Very good. So, in the early 60s, there were some investigators, researchers, that decided to look at studies that had been done on the relationship between grammar instruction and writing proficiency. And so there were more than one team doing this. But this particular group, they were the most influential. They looked at more than 100 studies of grammar instruction in relation to writing ability. And their conclusion rocked the industry, the profession, shocked the profession. Look at there, and you can read it on your paper. Number 1. Where is number 1? Where's my number 1? Se escondió. Well, how about number 2? Who was number 2? Please, read.
Okay. This isn't working. Okay. Summarize the findings of these studies in their 1963 book, Research in Reading Composition. At the end of the book, they made several concluding statements. Their most important conclusion was the following.
Very good. How about number 3?
In view of the widespread agreement
I like
of
this guy.
research studies based upon many types of students and teachers, the conclusion can be stated in strong and unqualified terms. The teaching or formal grammar instruction has a negligible or, because it usually displaces some instruction and practice in actual composition, even a harmful effect on the improvement of writing.
Grammar instruction, a harmful effect on writing improvement. Pretty harsh. So the defenders of grammar instruction began to shrink. By the 80s, grammar instruction did not have very many defenders. Because in the mid-1995, who's my number 4? Who's my number 4? Well, I'm going to rely on you. You will be my official reader. Shall we make him an official reader? Yeah, you are it, brother. You are it.
All right. In 1985, the Board of Directors of the National Council of Teachers of English, NCTE, approved the following position statement, which was later posted on the NCTE website. Resolved that the National Council of Teachers of English affirm the position that the use of isolated grammar and usage exercises is not supported by research and is a deterrent to the improvement of students' speaking and writing, and that the NCTE urged the discontinuance of testing practices that encourage the teaching of grammar rather than English language arts instruction.
If we look at this statement carefully, we can see that the Board of Directors of the NCTE, they specifically condemn the use of isolated grammar and usage exercises. But the clause, the discontinuance of testing practices that encourage the teaching of grammar had a big effect, a big impact in the profession of English teachers. I was going to graduate school at about this time. And in graduate school classes, you would hear, oh, grammar, don't bother with it. Don't bother with it. And I had learned English. Soy mexicano. I learned English when I went to the United States. I could not have mastered English had I not studied grammar I knew that in my bones, grammar is necessary. But all around me, I was hearing, grammar, forget it. And so, over the years, there have been, well, here I go, I'm jumping ahead again. I want to say that instead of limiting themselves to condemning the wrong type of grammar instruction, they make a blanket, a general condemnation of grammar instruction in general. So, as we say in English, they threw out, without intending to perhaps, they threw out the baby with the bathwater. And we were in trouble. Over the years, there have been 4 related, interconnected consequences. I want to present those to you, I want to present those to you now. There. Many teachers, they stopped seeing any reason, any justification to learn grammar. What for? It's not going to benefit my students' writing. This was the major. And from there, we had, as a result, many teachers, even now, not being able to illustrate to their students how we combine words, phrases, and clauses, and punctuation marks to construct sentences. This is what grammar is. How we combine words, phrases, and clauses using punctuation marks. No more, no less. And the third consequence was that the students then began to have trouble, or they had trouble combining words, phrases, clauses, and punctuation marks to construct sentences in English. And the fourth is that because people lost interest in grammar, we lost the motivation to find innovative ways to teach grammar, Okay? And also, we lost the drive to search for the most, to prioritize, as Patricia said. What are the components that should be given high priority? What are they? Well, we haven't really identified them. A few people have tried. I have spent years in this effort. I don't mind telling you. My wife will tell you. My kids will tell you, Dad, you didn't do that good of a job as a dad because you were always, doing this and this. I would teach at night, during the day. I taught elementary school. I had an elementary teaching credential, secondary teaching credential, community college teaching credential. I wanted to put myself in as many teaching situations as I could, because I knew what I was learning with first graders, I could apply it in some way to the other students that I had. And so I spent a good deal of time doing this. And so I wrote 2 books. One is a play, and another one is a text. And if you look at the table of contents, it has the things that I consider most essential for students to understand. As I was teaching, every semester I dreaded teaching grammar. Oh no, one more semester, so hard, But each semester I learned something. And one of the things that I learned, for example, about verbs, that in English, many words look like verbs, but they're not. And so students, I was going to bring it, but I didn't show it. I had them write, okay, in this composition, tell me which ones are the verbs. They wrote all kinds of words that were not verbs. Nouns, some of them were nouns, some of them were adjectives. They were confused. Because, you see, we have infinitive verbs for them. They look like verbs, especially in the lower levels. We have gerunds. For one of these, who can tell me what a gerund is? Who can tell me what a gerund is? I was evaluating a teacher at a college. And in the book, in the lesson, gerunds were mentioned. And the teacher was, well, gerunds, you see, he was trying to explain. He was not prepared. I was in the class and he said, well, perhaps Mr. Gardea. Oh, you bet I got up and I explained gerunds. So, I ask you the same question. Who can tell me what a gerund is? This is revealing. This is revealing. Because it's a component of English. I'll tell you what I did. I saw how frequently, when I read a newspaper, magazine article, how frequently we use gerunds. So I had my students, I said, for extra credit, bring me articles from newspapers, anything, magazines, whatever, with the gerunds highlighted. They brought me tons because we use gerunds a lot. I will show you what gerunds are today. They are ing nouns, and I will reserve this for a little later. Wait. No. Okay, so gerunds are ing nouns. Ing words. ¿Por qué no me dijo? ing nouns. They end in ing, but they are nouns. We have ing adjectives. We use, did you know, raise your hand, did you know that we use ing words in 3 ways? Good. Tell me the 3 ways we use ing words. Nouns, verbs. Can we give an applause to this man? I like to observe. Last night I was practicing. I never wore a tie. But now, you know, I'm an English fellow. This man, he ties his tie, he puts it on his leg. He says it's the same thickness as the neck. That's innovation. That's innovation. So we have words that end in ed that are adjectives. They confuse my students. I don't know what they do to your students. We have other verb-based adjectives. Broken, rented, taken, a good number of those. And so students need to differentiate when these words are used as adjectives, when they are used as nouns, when they are used as verbs. Very good. And adverbs confuse students too, because often they're between the helping verb. He has never helped me. Never, they identify as verb because they're in between the helping verb and the main verb. So in my book, the first chapter, I began by showing them a verb conjugation in English. Normally, verb conjugations are shown in Spanish classes, you know, the conjugation of the Spanish verbs. I brought it to the English class. Here, these are what verbs look like. They are not like this. And I tell them, if it's an ing word, and you think it's a verb, it better have a helping verb, or it's not a helping verb, or it's not a verb. Very good. So this is the first chapter. What else? Okay, so my second chapter, students need to know what is an object and a subject. Critical. Because I told you, words, phrases, and clauses. Clauses have subjects. And a subject can either be a noun or an object pronoun. An object pronoun, a subject pronoun. He, she, they, we, like that. Okay. Now, here's a big question. I will give this. there are occasions when the subject of a sentence, of a clause, is not noun and it's not subject pronoun. Sometimes, in a few cases, something else is the subject. Who wants this? Who wants this? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. A gerund can be, but I have to. But a gerund is a noun. A gerund, so technically, but I am not a bad guy. I am not a bad guy. So, but when a noun is not the subject and subject pronoun is not the subject. When? Really? Do I hear something? Yes. Demonstrative pronoun? Demonstrative pronoun? No. It's only subject pronoun. He, she. I don't know what a demonstrative pronoun is because, you don't mean like her, or? That's not a pronoun. That's an adjective. No, sir. An object can never be a subject. An object can never be a subject. Listen to this sentence. Listen to this. Noun phrase. Could be. It could be. I'll give it to you. Although that's not what I'm looking for. Listen to this sentence. Listen to this. One more. A noun clause. I'll give it to you because you said clause. Listen to this sentence. What Maria told me hurt my heart. What Maria told me hurt my heart. What's the subject? Maria? Well, it could be Maria hurt my heart. But it wasn't Maria. It was what she said. The clause. The clause is the subject sometimes. Very good. So, we have to know again what a subject is, what an object is. Okay? All right. Do you see manchas in my shirt? I'm sweating. I hope I won't get too close to you. So chapter 3, phrases, and dependent clauses. There are two types of clauses, right? So I group the phrases and the dependent clauses in one group. I will ask you a sentence, a big one. I have another one. I'm going to reserve it for that. Yes, ma'am. Pardon? Oh, I didn't give you the clause. Keep me honest. With my apologies. Okay. So I will move on because my time is going to be very limited. I want to be hogging it. Then I have a chapter on independent clauses. Two types of clauses. So I have a chapter on that. And these are the topics. I'm moving on. And then I have two more chapters on punctuation. Although before this chapter, the book deals with punctuation. And so this is just kind of finishing off punctuation. I have the 12 common rules at a glance. And then I finish off with academic writing, the skill of summarizing, the fourth reason why I told you the stories of helicopter ride was because one of my enemies, I'll ask you if it's yours, is plagiarism. Second language students, you give them an assignment to summarize an article, and they put a bunch of clauses and phrases and sentences, complete sentences in their compositions. Frustrating. How do you deal with that? So I have a video on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, Jacinto Gardea YouTube, I have 16 videos there. One of them is on academic writing, one of them is on assignments with plagiarism. And so they must learn how to summarize correctly. They must use not only their own words, their sentences cannot look like the original sentences. That's tough to teach. That's tough to teach. But you have a 3-year program in English. You have time. You have time. And so the last chapter is the transition to academic writers. Because you have a class taught by Dr. Rudy. A class to prepare students that have finished your 3-year program, to prepare them to pass the international test, which deals with academic writing, right? And they have to take this separate class to prepare for that class. In my humble opinion, I think that we need to strengthen our teaching of academic writing. Now, here's where I will be a little critical, if I may be allowed. The disadvantage of committing yourself to a specific text, a specific series of texts, is that you commit yourself to the vision of those authors. And it's difficult then to play your role as teacher in determining, in trying to come up with different ways of explaining the concepts to our students. That's our job, by the way. This is why we are storytellers. We must be able to explain things in more than one way. And our students, they must be able to explain what they are learning. If you cannot explain it, you have not internalized it well. You have not really learned it. And you have sharp students. Sharp students. I saw a student making a presentation on that British scientist on the wheelchair that had a real bad illness. I forget his name. Yeah, Hawkins. Intermediate level. This young guy. Boo, 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 boo. Another student in the same class, a presentation on how to exercise the brain. I was impressed. Okay? Very good. And so, moving on. The other thing that I thought would be innovative in a textbook is to reverse the order. Normally, you learn, and then you have a writing exercise. I put the writing exercise at the beginning. At the beginning. My reader, go, brother.
In this first chapter, you'll be writing a series of sentences about a person you respect and admire. The person you write about can be a famous person, a person who is no longer living, or a person you are no longer in contact with. At the end of the chapter, these sentences will be integrated into a composition. Before completing the first sentence exercise, think about the person you will be writing about and what this person has done to earn your respect and admiration. I chose to write about an extraordinary former student of mine named Cuauhtémoc Delgadillo.
And so in the chapter, you see my sentences in the exercises, my sample sentences, and then at the end you see my composition on Cuauhtémoc Delgadillo. He was, my wife knew him. He was a bodybuilder, incredible looking man. I did not know him when he was a bodybuilder. One day a friend left a motorcycle in his house. He decided to take a motorcycle ride. He had an accident, ended up in a wheelchair. When he woke up and they told him he would no longer be able to walk, he thought of suicide. And for a time, this is how he thought. He takes him 2 hours to get ready to go out in the morning. And he recovered. He's a solid. I admire him. And in my composition, I wrote about that. So that's my book. Now, I want to give you a little demonstration since you did not give me hands on gerunds. I had a teacher of mine, at the University of California in Santa Cruz. No, I'm wrong, Irvine. In graduate school, for a secondary credential, he would ask us, has the best lesson in nouns or adjectives been written? That's the best lesson in nouns and adjectives. He would say, no! You need to write it. You need to develop it. Practicing your craft. Keep track of the things that work. Go home thinking about your teaching, which is why my kids now are angry at me. Because I was always thinking about my job while I was at home, and but I tried. So here is the traditional definition of a noun. The name of a person, place, or thing. Well, it's a little bit more involved than that. I know. Because you have these, and then you have these, and then you have these, and then you have those. So, which type of nouns is missing? You should know. Yeah. Very good. Okay, so, gerunds, ing nouns. And this is why nouns are the largest group in any language. I had one of you told me yesterday, well, our students need vocabulary. Well, hey, nouns give you plenty of vocabulary. And of course, the adjectives and those kinds of things. All right, so we use nouns in prepositional phrases, I mentioned. Prepositional phrase, I think I mentioned, I don't know. But I will show you a video clip on it. So I'm going to skip it right away. We need nouns because in subjects, it's either a noun, subject pronoun, or sometimes a clause, right? Right. And there are, okay, you already know this. So here's a sentence showing an ing word with a helping verb. We underline the nouns twice. A gerund, and then jogging. Jogging. What is jogging? What is jogging? No. In terms of grammar. What is gerund. Yes. Very good. So now there is an ing word here. There is an ing word here. How is it being used? Verb, adjective, gerund. How is it being used? Give me a hand. Well, come on. Hand. Adjective. Very good. I'm going to run out, so. Okay, ing words, there are two. I want a hand. I will not call on you until I see the first hand to give that person an opportunity. There are two. You need to answer both. Where's the first hand? Aha! Let's stop. Yes, a gerund after a preposition. And the second one? It's an adjective. Describing? Yes, and prosecuting is describing? Yes. I'm glad you said that, because sometimes not. My father, angry and hungry, came home and gave my mother a kiss. Love was more important to him than hunger. So sometimes, occasionally, it makes a sentence awkward, but yeah. All right, so we got this one. Yeah, and then, we should tell students that some words, their ending shows that they're nouns, correct? All right, very good. S-H-I-P, M-E-N-T. But, we need to tell students that where there are two nouns together, often, coffee and table, the first one will be an adjective, correct? The first one will be an adjective. Friendship ring. Are we talking there about friendship or about a ring? Ring. friendship, that first noun becomes an adjective. We need to tell students about that. Retirement home, leadership training. Now, you have seen me teach. I want to show you my teaching in the classroom. Would you like to see that?
Yes.
Good, 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 good. ¿Alguien en casa? This is video clips. Video clips. Hey, any question? Have you thought of something you really want to learn about English? I thought you were going to ask a question. Yeah.
Is that the one?
No, no, no. Click on it. Here we go.
Yeah, but is that one?
That's it. That's it. I speeded it up. Oh, I wonder if we're going to get the sound. Maybe. These are groups of students competing to identify nouns in a piece of writing. In a piece of writing. They have had it as homework. They are looking at their notes. They're talking to each other. You notice that this woman is correcting what her partner had written. Why?
The sound.
The sound.
The sound is coming.
The sound is coming. Okay, venga. All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you. Let's count your points. Disability, yes. Assistance, yes. Accommodation, yes. Related, no. Can I say not related? No. Accommodation, yes. German, testing, yes. Note takers, very good. You did underline the note, which is very nice. Readers, etc. It's not. Instructor, yes. Possible, no. Adjective. And here, I think it's adjective. This would be adverb. So this is like this. This is a verb. This can be a noun. My contacts, yeah, but this is a verb. Okay. And yes, this is one complete because of the capitals. Very good. The number, one whole number. Questions, yes. Services, yes. Day, semester length, adjective, course, verb. And not have it appear. It's not a noun. I cannot say the appear, a appear, not a noun. On the transcript, yes. But now here, I want to be technical. Just like you did not underline note, you should not have underlined 20. Okay? Because it's not capitalized. And this is the name of one day, September 2nd. The last day to drop a class with a grade, October 19th. Okay? All right, so we have 3 plus 4, 7, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Is that correct? Very good. Next group. Here we go. Páralo, por favor, Andy. 2 points, 2 points. Andy, ¿podemos regresar para mirar el... I noticed in your classrooms, you have limited whiteboard space. Right there, Andy. No, poquito más. But I made a mistake. I want to see if you see my mistake. I was going to say, in your classroom, you have a limited whiteboard space. Okay. All right, very good. Thank you. So, one suggestion, you have long walls. Disability? Butcher paper. Yes. Put your paper on the wall. Yes. Boom. Yeah, and to have more whiteboard space. Related? No. I was impressed. Not related? I was impressed that the students can use the monitors. Very nice. The classrooms have that. Very nice. And I wanted to mention this. Yes. I make a mistake here. Very good. So I want to see if you can see it. If you can see my mistake. Readers. Yes. Etc. It's not. You saw it? Páralo, por favor, Andy. Yes. What is the mistake?
You may also contact.
No. Adjective.
You may also contact.
Yes, I put a check on contact, huh? Yeah. You saw it. Sharp. You're welcome. Okay, Andy. I love questions. This will be adverb. So this is like this. This is the verb language word. This can be a noun. My contacts, yeah, but this is a verb. Yes. Okay. And yes, this is one. Páralo, Andy, por favor. Andy tells me in Spanish, so I picked on in Spanish. Is this your second one? I have a question. If you answer it, I will. You like those? I'm glad. Okay, Andy. Because of the capital. So now, very good. The number, one whole number. Questions, yes. Services, yes. Day, semester length, adjective, course, verb. And not have it appear. It's not a noun. I cannot say the appear, a appear, not a noun. On the transcript, yes. But I gave the gentleman a reward because we forgot. Oh, shoot, I'm blocking it. Here, I would be questions. Just like you did not underline note, you should not have underlined 20. Okay? Because it's not capitalized. And this is the name of one day, September 2nd. The last day to drop a class with a grade, October 19th. Okay? All right, so we have 3 plus 4, 7, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15. Of hit. What's the subject of hit? Of hit. Don't cheat. Jared, would you have underlined that twice, Jessica? Yeah. But now you're not sure. Faded. Faded. It's not ED, you know, many ED words are verbs. Consuelo, would you have underlined that twice? Anybody else would have underlined faded twice? Okay, very good, very good. So, who can explain why that's not a verb? Who can explain? Monica, can you explain what? Yeah. This looks like a verb. This looks like a verb, but it's not. Exactly. 2 points on it. This is an adjective. This is an adjective. It's describing flows. Yeah. Okay? All right. So the verbs are wore and drove. So the first verb, nice, because I only had one noun before, so this is the subject. Now, little tricky. Here's a verb. What's the subject of drove? What comes before drove? What choices do I have? I have clothes. Huh? It's the same subject. We have one subject and we have two verbs. These millionaires, they wore faded clothes and they drove used cars. Okay? All right. Any question on these two? How we did? Any question? This is what we're going to do. Okay? This is what we are going to do. So, I'm going to maybe I should underline the noun, underline the verb, and something that I show that's going to, and then we'll go. I want you to come up. I want you to come up and write either a noun, and it can be a plan, and it can be plural. But I want you to write a noun or an object pronoun. Object pronoun. Me, her, him, them, and you will work, and it will work, because we can use you and it as objects and subjects. Okay? Good. That's good. Okay. I noticed that Lolita added the of, which is okay, but we can do that beside the beach. Yeah, we can, this can be optional, because this is another preposition. This is another preposition. And the two can go together. But we can say alongside the beach. They run alongside the beach. Yeah. Okay, class. So here is the message on prepositions and prepositional phrases. These words, they're 95% of the time, they are followed by a noun or an object pronoun. And when that happens, they create a prepositional phrase. Okay? This is the preposition. And this is the prepositional phrase. Okay? So, these words are the prepositions. Prepositions, okay? And together, they form a prepositional phrase. A phrase is a group of words that do not have a verb. But it's a group of words. They go together. They go together. Okay, you tell a friend, okay, where do you want to eat? Where do you want to meet? You want to meet at a restaurant? You want to meet at a park? You want to meet at the library? Shall we meet at your house? In my apartment? All those are prepositional phrases. Prepositional phrases. They're words that go together. Okay? A prepositional phrase is always going to begin with a preposition and it's going to end with a noun or an object pronoun. Now, when it's a noun, it can have adjectives. It can have adjectives along by the windy coast. And so when we underline, I'm going to put so you can see it is longer. Windy coast. So when we underline, we have to begin with the preposition and we have to end with a noun or the object pronoun. If you only underline, part of it, no credit. You're gonna get a 0. Okay? You have to go to the end to reach the noun or the object pronoun. Okay? Now what if it said, despite her husband? I'm going to change this and say, despite her husband. In this case, you cannot do that, huh? That's not complete. Because now I turn that into what? I turn her into what? 2 points. 2 points. I turn her, if I put it like this, I turn her into, no. Give me a hand. I need a hand. Somebody cut off a hand, boy. Yes. Huh? No. Roxy. For 3 points. 4 points. The question is, when I added the word husband, I turned her into adjective. 4. I'm going to 5, 6, 7, 8. I was hoping I didn't reach 20, you know? Okay, very good. So I turned it into an adjective, so now I have to go to the noun. Okay? All right. So I'm going to put the screen down so I can show you the rest. Okay? Do you have any questions on any of them? Throughout the book, prior to her, over the desk, outside her play. Outside her play? No, outside her play. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. She wrote a play. And outside her play, she's a very nice person. Is that how you understand it? Yeah. Outside her play. Out of the box, throughout history, through the book, for the rope, for the what one? Oh, rope, yeah, hey. Under it, inside each other. Now this one is nice. Inside each other. No, I was thinking of the heart. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. But inside each other. Am I right? It's good. It's the night. Except the dog. Okay, now this. Is this a prepositional? Except the dog, right? Except the dog. Is this a prepositional phrase? Is that a prepositional phrase? Give me a yes or a no. It's not. Yeah, that's a verb. Yeah. This is when Maria's boyfriend takes her to his mother and says, "Mother, accept her." Like that. That's not a prepositional phrase. Right, Monica? No. Yeah, this one, yes. This one, yes. That's why it's going to be important for you to remember these words. For you to remember these words. Practice on the other ones. On the other ones. Up. I'm going to say upper. Upper down. Upper down. Upper. Upper down. Near him. Near the beach. Practice. Okay, class. I have to cut. I don't have any more time, so I want to tell you one more thing. This is the game that I invented. I tried it this morning and it worked in the hotel room. We tried it here and it's not coming up. It's not coming up. This game, now I'll get on top. When somebody writes a sentence in this square, the game reproduces the sentence, and each word becomes colored according to its grammar category. No matter how long or complicated a sentence is. I don't have time to explain how I spent 4 years on this. And something like $26,000 with a computer program. But the breakthrough came when Google put out a huge program that is called sentence. It's on the game. If you go to the game on writinggames.com, it's on your notes on top. Writinggames.com. If you click on about the game, it gives you explanation about the game. The easiest way to see it is by clicking the practice button. The game has 4 levels, from very basic to college level. Okay, this one is, I believe, the level 4. When the students write a sentence, the sentence gets colored. The grammar components that the student has used then go away. They really don't go away, because if you click here, you can see the grammar component. So the game doesn't require students to know grammar, but the game shows them the grammar in their sentences. Okay? All right, so what I'm showing you here, at the beginning of my last semester, I wanted to explore the game, how I can use it in the classroom. So I told the students, you're going to write your pre-test composition using the game. And so they wrote the sentences, they wrote their composition. Okay? Now, the game gives you credit for the first time that you use the grammar component. If you say, Miguel came to school late today, it'll give you credit for Miguel as a subject noun. But it won't give you any more credit for subject nouns. The game wants you to use the more advanced grammar component. Verbs that are 4 words long. Could have been absent. It wants you to use conjunctive adverbs. It gives you more points for using those. I want to, sometime in the future, have a session where we play the game. But right now I don't have time. So I just want to tell you, if you go to it, explore it, send me comments. Send me comments. Okay? And with that, I want to thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jacinto Correa, for sharing your great techniques how to teach grammar with our students.